right, state, you may call your first witness.
Andra McCarty. Andrea McCarty.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Have a seat, ma'am. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McCarty, you're probably going to need to pull that mic up close to you. There you go. Would you tell us your name and spell your last name for the court reporter, please?
Andra McCarty, McCarty.
Ms. McCarty, where do you live?
I live at 6036 Long Peak Drive.
And where is that in relation to 6031 Long Peak Drive?
Right across the street.
And how long have you lived at that address?
8 years.
Ms. McCarty, I'd like to draw your attention back to the late evening of December 13th of 2016 and ask you if something unusual happened that night.
Yes, it did.
What was the first thing that happened that was different or unusual?
We heard gunshots.
Do you remember how many gunshots you heard?
I believe it was 4.
Okay. Did you hear anything else after you heard the gunshots?
I didn't hear nothing else until I opened the door.
All right. So what did you do after hearing the gunshots?
I went around my house because my son usually walks around the neighborhood, and I was checking around the house, see if he was in the house. When I went outside, that's when I heard screaming.
Did you tell where the screaming was coming from?
Yes, sir, it's right across the street.
Did you see anything at the house across the street from where you were?
From my door, I heard Sade's mother screaming, and I seen 2 bodies on the ground.
And
Well,
now-
actually, at first I seen 1 body on the ground.
Okay. Now, when you say on the ground, can you describe a little more detail where it was?
It was across the street. It was in front of the door on the left-hand side.
Okay. So what did you see after you saw the 1 body?
I ran across the street to help her out to see what was going on,
Okay.
and me and my husband both ran across the street to help out.
And what did you see when you got across the street?
When I got across the street, I seen a body on the right-hand side, and I also seen another body a body on the left-hand side, and I seen a body on the right-hand side.
Do you
And-
know Ms. Dixon Daniels who lives at the house?
Yes.
Did you see her?
Yeah, she was at the door, screaming.
And what was she screaming?
She was screaming, "Oh my God, he shot my baby, he shot my baby," and she kept screaming. Then she was screaming a name out, his name, and she said, "He shot my baby, he shot my child," or something like that. And then I just got the phone and started calling 911.
And after you called 911, were you there when the police arrived?
Yes, sir. We stood there. Me and my husband was out there helping. My husband was doing CPR, and we stood there till the police arrived.
Did you see anyone else other than the Ms. Dixon Daniels and the 2 people on the ground in the area?
No, sir.
Did you see anyone leaving the area?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I have another question.
Cross.
Morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, finding you.
So when you first heard the shots, your first focus was your child, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were inside the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where in the house were you?
I was inside in my bedroom.
Okay, and where was the child?
My child?
Yeah.
Was outside walking around.
Okay. And so did you go out the front door?
Yes, sir.
And did you look for your child right away?
We start calling on the phone. That's why I had the phone on me when I went outside.
Okay. So you started calling before you went outside?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who were you calling?
We were calling for my son.
Okay. And where was your son? Where did he end up being?
Around the corner outside walking.
Okay.
He didn't come up to
From the
us.
time you heard the shots to the time you were calling, till the time you're actually outside looking over there, several minutes had passed.
Actually, not, I ain't gonna say minutes, it's kind of seconds, because we ran outside and I was still in the front yard. We was trying to call him, and then my focus was on her once I heard her screaming. And I walked and ran across the street.
Your initial focus was on your son.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Initial.
And when you looked over there, you saw her, she was outside.
Yes, sir.
All right, nothing further, thank you.
Redirect. May this witness be excused. State.
Ma'am.
Defense.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're free to go. Call your next witness.
Rachel Ward.
Ma'am, please step in the box. Raise your right hand. Face the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You have a seat, ma'am.
May I inquire?
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you tell us your name, please? Spell your last name for the court reporter.
Rachel Magura, Magura.
And have you gotten married within the last 2 years?
Yes.
And did you change your name?
Yes.
And what was your name before you got married?
Ward, W-A-R-D.
Are you employed, ma'am?
Yes.
How are you employed?
With the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
And what capacity are you with the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
I'm a deputy sheriff.
Were you employed as a deputy sheriff on December the 13th, 2016?
Yes.
Were you on duty at about 9 o'clock that night?
Yes.
Did you have an occasion to go to 6031 Long Peak Drive?
Yes.
Could you tell us what county and state that's located in?
Orange County, Florida.
When you arrived, were there other deputies there, or were you among the first to arrive?
I was among the first to arrive.
Would you describe the scene that you saw when you got out of your car when you first got there?
There was a house on the property, and I observed two individuals lying on the porch that appeared to have been injured.
So what did you do?
I went up to the female victim, one of the first things, and saw that she had been injured and tried to provide care for her.
Was there anyone else there providing care for her when you arrived?
There were family members around.
Okay. In the process of providing care, did you move the female victim?
Yes.
And where did you move her to?
We pulled her to the side on the yard out of the doorway.
When you arrived, or at any time after you arrived, did you see a firearm anywhere around the porch?
I did not.
Did you see a firearm anywhere within the possession of the female victim that you helped move?
No.
Now, on that day, were you wearing a body camera?
Yes.
Would you describe for the jury where the body camera is attached?
It was located on my shoulder, and then we have a switch to turn it on that's down on our belt.
And did you activate your body camera that night?
I did.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Let me show you what has been marked State's Exhibit A for identification and ask if you have to peel that up. Do you recognize the contents of that?
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
My initials and the date.
And what do you recognize this to be?
A copy of my body camera footage.
And does this contain the entire body camera footage from the time you turned it on to you turned it off?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit into evidence State's Exhibit A.
Any objections? Sure. Glad to see you're all stretching. I'm going to send you back into the jury room for a quick minute. I need to talk to the attorneys. I'll bring you back out in just a second, but stretch, have some coffee. We'll bring you back in a second. Thanks. Yeah, just leave everything. Leave your notepads on your chairs when you exit the room. Mr. Ridgway, can you play the body cam for me, please? Thanks. Is the sound on, or is this the part where there's no sound?
Where are the people that got shot? Is he breathing?
He's breathing. He is, but she is.
She's not breathing?
Can they get the damn ambulance?
Yeah, they're here. They're here, sir. They're coming.
He's driving a red Regal, all red Regal. Okay. Yes, he was just over here in this old school Regal.
Okay. Do you guys know who they were?
He was Regal. No. He's bald headed. He just cut his hair. He got goals. He's buff.
They're gone. They drove off.
The shooter's gone. Where's the ambulance?
Hey, hang on. We've got them on the way, okay? Does she have a pulse?
I don't feel a pulse.
Hold on. Let me feel for it. Let me feel. No.
Baby, look at me. Look at me. Ronald. He got shot in the back of the leg. He got shot in the back. If y'all don't go get this motherfucker, I will. You live on 18th
We're gonna bring
Street.
you out. Come on.
My baby's not responding, baby.
I understand that. It'll do their job. It'll do their job. Out. Good. Good. Grab her by her hands. She looks. Ready?
Got it. You want to get that one?
Bring her out. Here. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. Where's she hit at?
Still no pulse.
Keep doing CPR.
I don't have a mask or anything for breath. I feel a little bit. I'm going to keep going.
Where's she shot at?
I don't know. We just pulled her out.
Hunter, give me a light. Yep. Yeah. Just relax, buddy. Just relax. He was conscious. I got it. He was conscious. I'll call you just go, sir. Okay, no rush. Thank you.
Go. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Go with those folks inside the house.
All right.
Keep with them.
Okay. Tim, will you give an update? I can announce. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Based on what the parties' opening statements were, it's clear to the court that there's a dispute as to where this encounter occurred, and the bodies are being moved. Both Ms. Dixon's and Mr. Stewart's body start on the porch and are being moved. Those things are relevant. So I think the probative value of the video up till that point outweighs any prejudicial impact. But once they actually remove them and put them on the grass, both Mr. Stewart and Ms. Dixon, the remainder of that is life-saving measures that are being taken with Ms. Dixon and life-saving measures taken with Mr. Stewart. They're cutting his shirt off. What is the relevance of that to any of the charges facing Mr. Loyd? Because it is pretty dramatic. Mr. Ridgway?
It's very simply, it shows the entire event as it occurred right then and there. No different than, well, I would say that it is in the same category as autopsy photos and things that, again, occurred after the event, that they show what happened.
I understand what you're saying. I'm going to sustain the defense's objection after they're picked up and moved to the grass. At that point, you need to turn off the body cam, because I do think at that point it becomes, just the emotional impact of that would override any probative value of the life-saving measures. And there's also them going into the house. You can introduce, it's slightly different than an autopsy photo, which is just a still. You understand my ruling? You can play it all the way up to them lifting Ms. Dixon and Mr. Stewart and removing them from the porch and placing them on the grass. I do not. And right, we're going to look at that one, and the podium monitor is on. Mr. Ridgway? Yeah.
You got shot in the back of the leg. You got shot in the back.
Bring her out. Here. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. Where'd she get at? Keep doing up, Paul.
Oh, sorry. Can you back that up?
CPR. Ready? Got it. Hands. Reload. Ready? Got it. You want to get that one? Bring her out. Here. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. Where'd she get at? Keep doing up.
Can you stop it there? All right, let me see the next one, please. I know it's going to take you a minute or so to get this straightened out.
Judge, this one, in addition to showing what, as you can see, as the Deputy Avant's walking up, Ronald Stewart being moved out to the yard.
Okay,
Deputy Avant finds the gun
okay.
and stands on it, then Deputy Avant then goes out into the street and is present when he helps locate the shell casings that are laying in the street, so there's more than just that on his.
Okay, great. Is this body cam?
Deputy Avant.
Where's she hit at? Keep doing CPR. No heart rate on the female up in front, so they're doing CPR right now. She's not got a pulse. The other one's is a little bit alert. Stop moving around, man. Stop moving around.
He's got one in the back, one in the leg.
He's got one in the chest.
I think it went through.
Anybody got scissors? Something we cut a shirt off? Hunter, give me a light. Yeah, I'll get his when he gets them out.
Just relax, buddy. Just relax.
He's out of it anyway.
He was conscious.
I got it.
I'll probably just go, sir. Okay, no worries. Thank you. Okay, we got the one.
What the heck is that? Fragment?
Something. Let's look at his back real quick. Frank, what do you got? We got, looks like an extra.
Through and through?
Through and through. We got one conscious.
Somewhat. He's out again.
In and out on my radio.
Yeah, I got it. You got any others? He's got one in the leg. He's got one here. I got one on the one in the thigh, one in the chest.
A few minutes ago.
No code? Hey, there's a gun here.
That's a no code. I got blood on my
Yeah, no,
That's hard.
Travis, come here. Come over here. I got a gun. Yeah. Fuck it, I don't
I don't want to touch you. I got blood.
Yeah, well, I got blood all over my hands. I don't want to touch it either.
He's got a pole.
I'm going to stand right here.
He's got one in the chest. Okay. And oh, you already got one. Never mind. Left leg. Ron, how you doing, Ron? Hey, you don't even need to be out here. You're ready. Lie here. Around the knee. That's all I see. Oh, it's Ron already? How old are you? How old are you?
Sarge, I'm going to go with them, but I need somebody to stand on this. Okay. I think they already called her. He's going to get trauma. He's got one through and through in the chest. So, oh yeah, she's 7. They called her almost immediately. We got a gun over here. You got a light on you?
No, I don't. Hang on, don't walk this way.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if I got any.
I just lost it.
Trying to find out if I have any blood on me. I don't think I do.
We'll check you out, but don't go.
I'm going to the hospital.
This way, so. Yeah, go that way. I don't
Yeah.
even know where it went now.
There it is.
Found it?
Right,
Where's it at?
right there.
Okay, and then there's one right there. Yep, right there.
Okay. I'm going to the hospital. So,
No problem. What is status of those one?
the female is, she's signal 7. He's going to be a trauma alert.
Okay. I need
Need some business cards?
yeah.
Left cargo pocket. I got a,
Right here?
yeah, there's a metal card holder in there. You can get some business cards out.
Yeah, I don't want anybody running the store.
Yeah. Well, it looks like, and they're going that way with him.
Yeah.
Can you get it open? Take these bloody gloves off.
Yeah, put them right in that dress.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. There it is, right. You want to just take a stack of cards, run over the, yeah, just take the whole stack. I got a ton of them in my car. All right, I'm going
What rescue is it? Do we know? 42? 42. County 314. Rescue 42 is going to transport live males to ORMC. Hey, they're going to ORMC with him, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I figured.
So what are you trying to admit this body cam for, State?
It shows several things. First is the deputies walking up. You can see the other deputies moving Ronald Stewart out into the yard. It shows the nature and extent of Ronald Stewart's injuries. It shows the fact that he found the gun and roughly where it was, and then the location of the shell casings that they found out in the yard and how they were discovered.
Mr. Lenham? Do you have your mic on?
All that is shown in crime scene photos. We're not disputing the number of wounds that Mr. Stewart suffered, to the fact that they were moved. I mean, none of that's in dispute, Judge. I mean, this is under 403, Judge. He's yelling in pain. I mean, that's very prejudicial.
Yeah, I don't think this body cam is admissible. This one, I have Mr. Stewart yelling out in pain. There's nothing relevant about that. It's going to be disturbing. It's disturbing to listen to, and I'm used to this type of situation. It would be much more disturbing for a jury who's not used to this to listen to, and the prejudicial impact on them. And it doesn't really inform us in any way of whether or not Mr. Loyd is guilty of the charges against him. The location of the wounds, I agree with you, but you can do that using a photograph. You have photographs of the wounds on Mr.
No, ma'am, we
Stewart,
don't.
do you not?
He was moved before the crime scene people got there, and there were no photographs taken. By the time they got to the hospital, he was, I think, almost taken immediately into surgery.
Okay. I just, there's parts of this that I could let in, but you'd have to edit it down to, you know, you'd have to edit quite a lot of this out.
What if we took out the sound for the first part of it and played it without the audio? You might have to stop it at places to have the deputy narrate what was happening at that point.
When were you expecting him to testify?
Next.
You may have to call him after lunch while I take a look at this video again. I don't know how you could edit this down to showing nothing but Mr. Stewart's wounds, the location of his wounds, which are relevant. The screaming is not, I'm not going to let that in. And then we've got a lot of extemporaneous comments, which are perfectly normal by the deputies. I'm not implying that anything they did was inappropriate about, you know, she coded almost immediately, they called her almost immediately, they're going to ORMC. I mean, there's just a lot of conversation going on that is not normally admitted. It's all mixed in with the video, which is what my issue is with this video, is that there are parts of it. The gun's location is admissible. The shell casings are clearly admissible. The wounds on Mr. Stewart are the chest wound, the through and through, the one in his leg. Do you need a minute to try and figure out how you could edit this down? And can you do it before you call him to the stand in the next whatever minutes
Well,
it's
we
going to be?
obviously have to do it before he takes the stand.
How much time would it take you to do that?
I think the best we could do, Judge, would be to stop the sound at various places and simply not play the sound.
And then it just becomes worse because it looks like we're hiding something from the jury. Why don't we take a 10-minute break and let you guys think about this, see if there's some way you can work around. Like I said, if you can do a still of the wounds on Mr. Stewart, I'm fine with that. A still of the shell casing locations, and maybe a still of the gun.
Judge, I believe they have hospital records. I'm pretty sure that the hospital
But
records.
this is a photograph. They're looking for the actual photograph.
Gotcha.
Of the wounds, which you would not, unless the hospital took photographs, which they never do. Did they in this case? So
Not that I'm aware of.
why don't we all take a 10-minute break, and it'll give you guys a few minutes to think about it and see what you can figure out? Okay. All right, thank you. Ma'am, you're on the stand, which means you can step off if you'd like, but you can't talk to anyone, including the lawyers, about your testimony. All right? Court's in recess for 10 minutes.